Hello YouTube. So today in this video, what we want to do is to continue our OSPF series. And the previous video we enabled the OSPF on these three routers in this segment 192.168.2.0 in the broadcast domain. Now we're going to only enable the point OSPF on the links between R3 and R5, R4 and R5. And then we're going to check all, we're going to make sure OSPF is functioning in all the area 0. Okay. That's the basis of this network, this video today. So let's check if I go into R3. I'm going to R3, let me just lower this one out. This one. So on R3, we have if I do show IP interface brief, the interface linking R3 and R5, that interface should be gig 01. That interface is still down because I didn't enable it. So I'm going to put an IP address on that interface. Alright, so I put IP address 192.168.25 should be 35. Okay, let me change that. .35.3. Okay, and I should say not short. And one more thing, since we want this interface to be a point-to-point, okay, with R5, I'm going to say IP OSPF network point-to-point. Okay, so now I'm going to exit out of there, or I just do router OSPF process 1. So I just put the network. The network is going to be 192.168.35.0 0.0.0.5 area 0. Okay, the area 0. And I'm going to exit out of this, save, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing on router 4, router 5. I'm going to show you the interfaces. Okay, so I configure this interface for router 4. Okay, gig 01 router 4. And I put the IP address 192.168.45.4. Okay, and I make sure it's a IP OSPF network point-to-point here, So I'm going to do now on router 5, making sure this one is point-to-point, also point-to-point on the other interface there. So router 5, I'm going to do show IP interface brief. Okay, so no interface been configured, so I'm going to go this interface here is 00 and this one is gig 01. So configure terminal interface. Let me just say interface range. Interface range gig 0 to 1. Okay, these both interfaces. Okay, I'll call it not short. Okay, now I'm going to say IP OSPF network point-to-point. Okay, for the two interfaces. So they're both interfaces going to be point-to-point. I'm going to exit here, and then I'm specifically going to configure interface 0/0, which is the one facing R3. I call it IP address. The IP address is going to be 192.168.35. Okay, 35.5. Okay, we're on router 5, so it's going to be .5. 255.255.0. Then same thing for interface gig 01. IP address is going to be 192.168.45.5. 255.255.255. 0. Okay, now we're going to inject those interfaces into OSPF. Okay, so let's say router OSPF1, the network 192.168.35.0, 0.0.0.0.5 area 0. And I'm going to do the same thing for the 4.5. Okay, 4.5 area 0. Now let's try to see exactly. Let's see the configuration we did. Okay, if I do IP interface brief, you can see gig 000 leading to R3 is configured, gig 01 leading to R4 is configured. So if I do show run interface gig 00, you see the IP address is there and it's a point-to-point network. So if I do the same thing for gig 01, you can see the IP address and it's also a point-to-point network. So we're good there. And now normally we should have OSPF working at the moment. Okay, so for that, if I do show IP OSPF neighbor, I should have 2 neighbors. Okay, I'm on router 5, I should have 2 neighbors. Okay, so you can see we have 2 neighbors. OSPF is converged, it's full. Okay, which means OSPF is converged. And you can also see that there's no DR or BDR or whatever. There's no election happening here, so it basically converges quicker. So we can see the 2 neighbors from R4. In the perspective of R4, we can see our 2 neighbors, and we can also see that's a point-to-point network. Okay, so if I do show IP OSPF interface 0.0 from R5, so you see it's a point-to-point network here. Okay, you can see the timers, everything is there. So we have our OSPF is working. Okay, it's working, and now we have to do full verification. Okay, how does like we're now on area 0? Does technically every router, each and every router should be able to have the same database. Okay, link state database. So if I do show IP route OSPF, okay, let's see what we got here. So we are sitting on router 1, and we can see that on router 1 we have on the 1 network, which is this one, on the 2 network, which is this one, which is actually a different segment, and from the 3 network, and also from 4 network. So, and you see they are all OSPF routes. And one more thing, you can see that we have default routes. Okay, and if you've forgotten what I said previously in the first video, this default route comes from the fact that we basically forwarded the default route that was on the router 1. We forwarded it into OSPF. Okay, so since we forwarded from router 1 to router 2 forward to all the other the other routers, as long as they participate in the OSPF neighbor relationship. So that's why we have a default route here. And of course, if you want R5 to be able to ping and resolve IP addresses, ping IP address on internet, and also resolve URLs on the internet, you're going to have to do let's say if I do ping right now, that ping should work to internet. Okay, let me just ping a different IP address. Let me ping 8.8.8.8. okay, that's working, but I cannot ping cisco.com. okay, to ping cisco.com, what I need to do is I need to put IP domain lookup, and also IP name server. I'm going to say 1.1.1. Okay, and after doing that, we should be able to ping for cisco.com. Okay, so now we can ping, and basically I wanted to show you that now we have full network. Our network is fully converged. We have if you go into each one of these routers, you're going to see they have link state database that basically tells them to each router how to get to the other router on that same network. Okay, so that's what we found on router 5, but we could also go to router 3. Okay, I do on router 3, I do to IP for OSPF. Okay, so see on router 4, on router 3 as well, we know we have access to, we have the linked database, and you know, we have the OSPF networks for all the other networks that are in the area 0. Okay, so basically that's it for this video. I'm going to stop here, and in the next video, what I want to do in the next video is so this is area 0. I want to introduce area 1. Okay, I want to introduce area 2, and I also want to introduce ERGRP, okay, and eventually also maybe RIP or other reporting protocol. That way we can see how OSPF interacts with other routing protocols, and also how OSPF areas propagate routes in their network. Okay, so that's it for this video. So thanks so much for watching, and talk to you in the next video.